Welcome to It Happened in Grand Prairie, Texas, as we bring you the history of our city and some of the people that have really made history and are even continuing to make history this very day. We have a very special gentleman today for our interview. This is a young man that has been in Grand Prairie in the service of Grand Prairie in the past and is still a great supporter of the city of Grand Prairie, Texas. And we have Mr. Edward Jones. And Mr. Edward Jones is a very special man in that this is our history tape number, pardon me, I'm sorry, number 641. And this is a very special salute, not only to the city of Grand Prairie and his service, but also to the service that he has rendered in many different ways to Grand Prairie. 641 is a great history of a young man that began in many long years ago, and so we're going to interview him today and let you get the real thing from Edward Jones. Mr. Ed Jones, welcome to the set, young man.
Thank you. Thank you very kindly for having me.
We're just so glad to have you here today. And Mr. Ed, I know that you are up in age according to the calendar.
Well, I'm only 97.
You're only 97 and I'm only 89. We're only 7 years apart.
Well, we don't tell everybody.
Well, we don't tell everyone. And you graduated from Sunset High School in 1931, I believe.
That's exactly right.
Well, see, I graduated from Sunset High School in 1938, so I've been keeping tabs on you for a long time, Mr. Ed. And I'd like to know a little bit about the real Ed Jones. Would you name your parents for me and where you were born?
Well, I was born in Mahia, Texas. My daddy was a railroad man with the Cotton Belt Railroad.
All right.
And
his name?
He was,
His name?
Hardy H. Jones.
And your mother's name?
Catherine Beatrice.
And what was her maiden name?
Smith.
Okay.
So I've had Jones, Smith, Brown, and Whites in my family.
Oh, that is great. Well, now, did you have any brothers or sisters, Ed?
I had one brother and no sister.
Okay.
My brother passed away about 4 years ago.
Put his name in the record.
Warren Jones, and he had one boy, Warren Jr., and a girl, and his girl died here 4 or 5 years ago.
Tell me about your school. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Winnetka School on Edgefield, from the
And that's in
kindergarten on up to high school, and then I
That's
went
in
to
Oak Cliff.
Sunset.
That's Oak Cliff, isn't it?
Yeah, on
Okay.
Edgefield.
All right.
Yeah, and then I graduated in January of '31 from Sunset High School.
Then where did you go?
Trying to find a job. It took me 5 years to land my first city job in '31, and I was really looking. And I finally got a job at City Hall in Dallas, Texas, delivering delinquent water bills on a bicycle. I made $60 a month.
How wonderful. That was great. Yes, and then from there, where did you go?
Well, about 4 months later, they had a bookkeeping job open in the water department.
All right.
Somebody suggested that I could do it. And I had very little bookkeeping knowledge. But anyway, one of the guys that was on the line, they had 6 bookkeepers,
Yeah.
Different districts, was a good friend of mine. He said, well, come on, let him have it, we'll teach him.
How
And
wonderful.
him and the other guy used to be the comptroller there,
Uh-huh.
but he had left and come back in the comptroller job, and he was an expert. And we had 6 bookkeepers that did different districts. So I got started with that, lasted about 7 months, and then I got a raise to $111 a month. I was making so much money, I got married.
Oh, and tell me about the young lady that you married.
I married Helen Denise Jones. She lived in Trinity Heights all over it like a lot of us did.
Yes.
Her and I must have lived in 8 different places.
All right.
Hungry Heights, we called it. We got married in 1936.
Yes. All right. Did you have any children?
Oh, we lost a child at birth.
Yes.
So we never had any children. Helen and I was married like 2 months, being married 60 years. She's been dead now several years.
Okay.
And great.
And you were in bookkeeping and making $100 and something a month at
Yeah,
Dallas.
I ride a
then,
bicycle making $60 a month.
And then?
And then they needed a bookkeeper, and this guy recommended me. And I had very little bookkeeping experience, but he taught me.
All right.
So it wasn't long, I was number 2 man.
You were number 2 bookkeeper in
Got
Dallas?
raised my salary up to $111 a month and got married and making so much money.
All righty. Now,
And then shortly after that, they needed somebody in the tax department, and my old friend and cellmate, Norman Register, was head of it. So he hired me to come in there, and I learned every job in the tax department except I had every job except his.
yes.
And then I got a chance to come out here. Dean Dawley hired me in 1955.
Now, Dean Dawley was one of our city managers.
Yes,
Back in what year?
that's 1955.
1955.
September I come here.
Okay, and you came in as a tax man. And
As
where
a-
was your office?
Well, there's the old city hall there. You go in
Yes.
the door, and then they had that chamber there.
Yes.
And the little
Little
cubby
cupboard.
hole there,
Yeah.
the water department, that's all they had. They had just sharing all that. I said, they didn't even have a calculator. I said, how in the hell you got no tax department here? You
Yes.
ain't even got a calculator.
Yeah.
I said, I can't do all that in my head.
Yeah.
So they bought me one right quick.
Well, good.
And I said, I got to have a private office. I can't sit out here and listen to all that jabbering going on and
Yeah.
concentrate on millions of dollars in this tax. Yeah, so they finally got me a calculator and
In an office?
an office.
Okay.
And then I moved back there in that back building that used to be that little, well, I think the ladies used it for various
Well,
functions.
Rotary used to meet back there in
Yeah,
that little old
yeah.
building. Yes, that was the very first library that we had in the city of Grand
And
Prairie.
I got the mayor to let me use it. He said, you're going to make a bunch of these people mad, I think, from the lady. I said, well, Mayor, I got to have some space. I can't do this with it.
Yeah.
Share all that space with the water.
Did you have
department.
anyone working with you in that office, or were you alone?
Well, at that time, I'd hired a man from Oak Cliff that needed the job.
Yeah.
Couldn't hardly pay him nothing. And I trained him, though, and he later got to be Philip Hall. He later got to be had some good jobs in the tax department.
Yeah.
Norman Register was a great trainer. He was the best in the country. And he was a stickler. He made you get after it. And so I learned very well. When they hired me, he told Dean Dawley, he said, Ed won't do you a bad job because I won't let him.
Oh, that's good.
That's
Very
exactly
good.
what he told. I said, get out of my hair. Him and I were old friends.
Yes.
But boy, he didn't keep that from showering down. And the result, one of his top-notch guns.
How long were you in the tax department for the city of Grand Prairie before someone gave you another opportunity?
Give me another opportunity. I
Yeah.
cussed him, Cliff Johnson. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I went to work in 55, and then about 60. Seemed like about 64.
1964. Okay.
He come to me and he took me to lunch, and I said, well, now wait a minute.
Now, that was Mr. Cliff Johnson that
Yeah.
was then the city manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
We went out here at the airport. They was just getting it finished.
Yes.
Bought me a nice dinner, and I said, now,
Yeah.
there's a catch to this
Yes,
somewhere.
'cause he bought you
I
a
want
nice
to know
dinner.
what it is. Unload on me.
Yeah, all right.
Well, they'd had Urban Road. Dean Dawley saw the opportunity he had because you could get money to buy pipe and underground equipment that the city didn't have the money to buy. But if they joined and get into this program, they could get some of that money out of their government for that particular purpose,
And that was
to upgrade the city.
Uh-huh.
So Dean saw all that, and Cliff did. Dean Dawley started it, but Cliff Johnson,
He grabbed a hold of it and ran with it then, didn't he?
yeah.
Yes.
And he come to me one day and he said, how'd you like to be the urban renewal director? I said, I wouldn't like it worth a damn. They'd hired some people and they floundered and didn't do nothing, didn't know how to run it.
Urban Renewal Director. Now, what is Urban Renewal? Was that program that they upgraded everything in the city?
Well, it's an upgrade. The federal government furnished part of the money, half of it, and the city furnished half of it.
Okay.
And then they was in partners of doing away with the rundown areas like Dalware and all, upgrading, putting in new streets, water, sewer, that the city didn't have the money to do it.
Yes.
But this way they could, and Dean saw that originally. But anyway, Cliff wanted me to take it. I said, I don't want that damn job.
Yes.
Excuse me.
That's all right.
I said, I don't even want to talk about it. He said, well, I think you ought to take it.
Well, I'd like to ask you this. Had they had the referendum, had they had the vote
Oh,
on
yeah,
it,
Dean Dawley started it.
in other words, they had already had the referendum on that.
Leo, you remember him, Leo, somebody had it before me. There's 4 or 5 urban renewal directors before me, but they just piddled with it.
Yes.
They never did do anything with it. And Dean saw the potential because they could get money to buy water and sewer streets and help pay for the labor, and the city couldn't do it by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, on the referendum, I just happened to have Mr. Johnson called me and asked me to help be the telephone chairman for an urban renewal vote, whether or not we would accept it. The people in Grand Prairie had to vote on it, whether or not we had it. And when they had the vote, it came out 294 were for it and 262 were against it. So it passed, but it just barely did. But that gave us enough momentum to then say that we had an urban renewal program because the majority of the people voted for it. So I do have that in the record, and that it was under Dean Dawley's auspices.
Original thinking, and he knew.
Well, he held the
the city
election.
needed all that water and sewer, but the city couldn't do it.
Well,
they had to have some help, so that was only. He could see down the line.
Yes, well, Dean Dawley gets the credit for helping to pass that because.
Yes, he did. He got it going.
Well,
and then Cliff picked it up later.
Yes, that was good. Well, let's see if there's anything else that I have down here that I need to ask you about for sure. Also, when you were approached to this, what was happening in the tax department? You didn't want to leave that tax department, did you?
I sure didn't, because I come there, they didn't have a tax department. They had a desk that shared the water department and shared a typewriter and stuff.
Well,
what if I got into? They didn't have no tax department.
What twisted your arm enough to get you into that?
Lord, I thought about that myself. I hated it myself for a long time for ever taking that job.
But you did take it, and
yeah, and then I decided, well, I took it. I'm gonna make the best of it. I worked 17-hour days, 7 days a week for about 2 years, till I got that thing into the tax department. They didn't have no tax department. I got there. They had a desk and some papers. Nobody knew what.
Well, where was your new office now in this urban renewal?
Well, they finally give me a little old office joining the water department, and it's crowded. And that building behind it that the women used to use.
Yes, okay.
The mayor had to kick him out, and he didn't like that.
All right, and that's where your new urban renewal office began.
Yeah.
All righty, and
that too in the tax department. And my girl, my secretary, was the one that kept it going, and Sonia, that was with us so long.
And the Sonia, what was her last name?
Sonia Smith.
Okay, let's put her.
I remember off the record.
Secretary. Okay, she
Vernon was chairman then.
Yes, Mr. Jackson.
When they hired me.
Our Mr. Vernon Jackson.
And the first thing he asked me, he said, Ed, don't let that girl go. But take care of her.
She's good.
She's been there a long time looking at her. And she wasn't the best in the world.
Yeah.
In fact, I elevated one of my other secretaries to the same category as she was. She didn't like it with her.
Yes.
But she didn't have it that other girl had. Juanita, her daddy had that place down on Juanita. Oh, it was hardware. Watson.
Uh-huh.
Juanita was a Watson.
Yes.
But anyway,
How many people were involved in urban renewal? You all had a board. Was it appointed by the city? I know that my
Yes.
Mr. Jackson was on
Yeah.
that board and was chairman for about 15 or so years, or 22
well,
years. Or,
the city appointed a committee, and they among themselves elected the chairman and vice chairman.
I see.
And then
Did you have an assistant as the
Yeah,
director? Who was your assistant?
Ray Phillips, one of the best in the country.
Oh, one of the best men that ever came to Grand Prairie.
And he's a real estate man, and I had a chance to hire him, and he eventually practically run it because I let him. I'd wore out, and
Yes.
I paid homage to his wife when we had something on this program
Yes.
to do. Because there he was. He was a good man.
I have a note down here about you in the U.S. Navy.
Well, I volunteered Pearl Harbor Day for the Navy. And went to boot camp. I had my 39th birthday. No, my 29th birthday.
Yes.
In boot camp. And it wasn't easy. And I finally wound up in submarines for the last
In
2
the
years.
submarines? How many years were you in the Navy?
4 years.
4 years.
Uncle Sam paid me about $100 a month for 4 years out of my life, the best years
Yes.
out of my life.
Yes.
I had my 29th birthday in boot camp, I think.
Yes.
Couldn't even get it off long enough to
Where
go
were
get
you
a
stationed in the Navy?
Well, I went to boot camp in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, and then we went to Philadelphia, and then I went to Boston, and both stuck around there in the office, had shore duty a long time, and then went to Philadelphia, back to Boston, and then went aboard submarines, and we operated down out of the Panama Canal.
I see.
And I was with the squadron there in Panama.
What year were you discharged from the Navy?
Discharged in 45, about September of 45.
1945, okay. I had to get that in the record because I'm going to use you as an example of World War II. You're one of our real famous World War II vets that we've never given you a salute at all.
They don't, people don't.
That's all right.
That's all right with me, too.
Now, I've gotten off track.
I didn't do it to be a hero. I did it because it was the thing to do, and that's my style.
Yes, it is. Well, I need to get back on track because we were in the middle of urban renewal, and I got you off on this Navy thing. But how about Ray Phillips? Tell me more about that young man.
Well,
where did he come from?
I needed somebody
Yeah.
because it was growing, and I had programs running that I just couldn't do justice to all that operation. And I heard about Ray. He's a real estate man.
Yes.
And Ralph Smart, I think, recommended him.
Okay.
And I'd believe anything Ralph ever said because
Yes.
he was honest.
Yes.
So I called him down there and talked to him. He wasn't too hot about it,
Yeah.
but he said, I don't know nothing about that thing. I said, well, Ray, I didn't either when I took it, but we got to learn. And I need somebody. I need somebody with a real estate background because we got a lot of property to acquire. We got to deal with people. We got to know how to deal with them. And it ain't always easy.
Yes. You
So
had
anyway, I hired him, and he
Good.
did. He did
a good job, didn't he?
fabulous job.
and you had some very important people on your boards. I know that.
Bobby Donaldson,
Yes, and
Norman Gilbert, and
one that became mayor, Park Hill.
yeah,
he on your list?
Weldon Parkhill,
Yes.
and
And you had so many famous people that have
and
really.
the guy that had the office supply place down
Mr.
there.
Head.
Huh?
Mr. Head.
Yeah, Hubert Head.
Hubert Head. Mr. Head.
And well, the other guy, his partner,
Yes.
I can't think of his name. No, Hubert never was on it. It was his partner.
It was his partner that was on there.
But anyway, there's a bunch of them. And Mr. John Perry, the black fella out in
Yes,
Dallas, he was on my board all the way through all the
Yes.
years. And he's a fine,
Fine gentleman.
clean-cut gentleman.
Yes.
Never, ever. He wasn't no rubber stamp either. There's
Mm-hmm.
things that maybe after the meeting was over, he'd stay back. He said, Mr. Jones, if you don't mind, I'd like for you to clarify a few points about some of this action we took. I said, yeah, Mr. Perry, I'd be glad to. Sat down, we'd discuss it. And he is a self-made millionaire.
Yes.
He worked on the TP Railroad
Yes.
as a building the railroad and
Yes.
bought a bunch of property in Fort Worth and later become a millionaire. He was a nice gentleman.
Nice gentleman.
Quiet, never had.
I want you to name the different areas real quickly because I've got to get to an award that came to you, and I haven't got but 2 more minutes on this to talk about urban renewal. You did Dalworth Park, South Dalworth. You did something in South Grand Prairie. Was it
Lakeview.
Lakeview? You did the Lakeview project,
Downtown.
and then the downtown.
We was going to do what they call a new city and old city or
Yes,
something like that. But it never did
Never did come
materialize.
about. But those are 3 areas that you made 100% better after urban renewal. And when did you leave urban renewal?
Gosh, really, I think it was 78. I'm not. I'd have to.
We won't go into that, but you did leave that and retire, didn't you?
Yeah,
And from your retirement, you've been everywhere and done lots of things.
I sure have.
All right, but now I want to talk about this. Tammy Chan really made things important because you had gotten a site on the corner of Southeast 14th Street in Jefferson, and there was a plaque there about you. Who put that plaque there originally?
Southeast 14th.
Southeast 14th Street, where your plaque is now. That plaque was there, but it was put there originally by someone else, some other group from Grand Prairie. And then we decided, and there was Mr. Tony.
Cliff Johnson dedicated that little island to me
That's right.
because I was in the help clean up, fix up campaign. And one day we was talking about getting things cleaned up, and we drove by this thing. I said, now Cliff, there's an eyesore right there that your people don't take care of. Half the time I drive by here.
Because it was in Dallas.
Half, yeah,
Yes,
part of it was in Dallas.
Part is in Dallas.
And he said, well, that'll eliminate that. And they started keeping it clean because people throw all their cans, beer cans, Coca-Cola boxes.
They let it go to pot, and then Tony Shotwell, Tammy Chan, Ruthie Jackson, some of the other people put the pressure on them and said, we've got to clean that up and we want to redo that and make it pretty for Mr. Ed Jones. It's already been dedicated to him once, but now we want to do it over again and rededicate it. And then on the magic date, I have some magic dates here. It says, please be our guest at a special luncheon in honor of Mr. Ed Jones, former executive director of the Urban Renewal Agency in Grand Prairie, and this party is going to be at 11:30 on Thursday, November the 19th at the Ruthie Jackson Center, and his dedication marker is located at Southeast 14th and Jefferson. It has been redone, it has been beautified, and because the Honorable Mr. Tony Shotwell put the pressure on everyone, we got it done by this November the 19th.
He's done a lot. You
Yeah.
get a hold of him, he'll get something done.
That
if it
is
has
right.
merit.
Well, now that we had all of those people working together, we have redone that corner, and we took pictures of you and maybe a couple of 3 policemen and some of us that were there at the dedication. And I know that Mr. Johnson, Mr. Don Johnson's going to show that picture sometime during our interview because he says he already has it captured for his deal. And I'd like for you to tell me what that luncheon meant to you.
Well, it brought back a lot of memories, a lot of tough memories.
You had Warren.
But I later, I've always, if I take a job on,
Yes.
I stick it out and I do the very best I know how. And I work 17, 18 hours a day lots of time to get the job done.
Well,
and I never do it halfway.
all right, now you came to that site from your big luncheon that you had at the RJC, and Bill Owsley
Yeah.
brought you in the most beautiful limousine,
His uncle gave him that.
and he had all sorts of pictures made at that site. We don't have all of his pictures that he took, but we had that one beautiful one that was taken there.
I thought this bunch I gave you the other day.
No, I think Amy has all of the other ones.
Well,
I
if,
never
if
did
you
get.
don't, maybe Bill, if you'll tell me what you don't have, maybe Bill still got them.
Yes.
I'll get them from you.
Yes, that's what we need. We need that for our file to salute you in a special way for that very special. And so tell me what you thought about the dedication at your site when all the policemen came up.
Well, it is very impressive. It kind of tugged at my heart. I'm not very sentimental about things like that.
Yes.
But it does kind of get to you because I felt like maybe I've been appreciated.
Well,
And that's all I ever wanted.
Yes.
And I never did do it for the glory and the money.
Yeah.
The money wasn't no big deal, I'll guarantee you.
Well, one thing about it, I wanted to let you know that you were nominated for this interview today by Mr. Vernon Jackson, who I've been married to for 65 plus years, and he said that man has done so much for Grand Prairie. Said, Ruthie Jackson, you better get off of the High Center and get Ed Jones interviewed, because said, remember, he's a Sunset Bison and you're a Sunset Bison. So I want you to tell me how you enjoyed working with Mr. Jackson. You got 1 minute, just 1 minute.
Vernon was one of the best people I ever worked with. He was very interested. He was very attentive. He was always there. And he asked, nothing ever silly or nothing. He asked serious questions. And I always got right answers. And I never did send no flunky down there. Either me or my assistant always went to him and explained things before we had it before the regular meeting. Mm-hmm. And the result is everything went along very smoothly.
I want to thank you, Ed Jones, for tolerating all of the wild questions and the separation of all of these different subjects that we brought up to you. I want to salute you especially as a member of the World War II veterans, because we've not honored you in that direction. I want to salute you for being a tax collector and for being an urban renewal person and for being a good citizen of Grand Prairie, even though you put your foot down and didn't like some of the assignments that you got. You braved yourself through them, and you brought Grand Prairie a long way.
If I took it, I went ahead and did it, and I stayed with it. I worked a lot of
Yes, you
17,
did.
18 hours a day people didn't know about.
Yes, we love you, Ed Jones. You are so special.
Well,
And
that's just my style. If I take a job, I might not want it, and
I
tell them,
want you to look out and in 1/2 a second say thank you, Grand Prairie.
thank you, Grand Prairie. It's my great privilege. Thank you.
And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do, and that we document it just as nearly correct as we possibly can. Thank you for watching our show. Thank you for watching number 641, saluting Ed Jones, courtesy of Mr. Vernon Jackson, and it happened in Grand Prairie, Texas. Thank you for watching our show, and God bless you today.